G'day everybody, welcome to another episode of Faith, Culture, Politics in Australia with Mark. And if you like what I'm bringing to you, trying to bring it to you on a more regular basis, and you'd like to support the time and effort involved in bringing some of the content that I'm bringing to you, please feel free to buy me a coffee under Buy Me a Coffee, Mark Neugebauer. You should be able to see the logo for Faith, Culture, Politics in Australia. It'd be muchly appreciated. My Substack is open, but if you wanted to become a paid subscriber to my Substack, it would be greatly appreciated as well. If you wanted to see more of this and more regular content and more topics, then you can do so to be able to free me up from other paid commitments. But anyway, moving along, as you would have seen in the topic today, is Tony Burke and Anne Ali have kicked a hornet's nest for their condemnation of the March for Australia. So I'm going to have a little bit of a talk into that and cover a few little things and hopefully get your mind thinking and discerning. And as always, I'll bring you the information. It is for you to do with as you wish. I encourage you to continue to do further research of your own, form your own views and opinions. Don't just take my word for it. And certainly don't take the word of things that you're hearing from politicians, the mainstream media, our bureaucrats and so forth, because that's one of the reasons that our country seems to be in the mess it's in. But anyway, it's up to you and incumbent on you to do your own due diligence and research. And I'm open to be called out for things that I've got wrong. A platform like this is always opportunities wherever it's being uploaded to be able to do that. But anyway, let's just we'll sneak into it and get started. I'm just going to share screen. I've got a few things lined up here, so it might be a little bit clunky again, going through different my presentation and screen shares and videos and so forth. But anyway, we'll see if we can make it work for you all and make it not too clunky and make it flow a little bit. But anyway, I'll bring this up and we'll have a look at this. This media release that's come out from Tony Burke and the Honourable Anne Ali MP. So Tony Burke being the Minister for Home Affairs, Minister for Immigration and Citizenship, Minister for Cyber Security, lo and behold, Minister for the Arts and Leader of the House. And the Honourable Anne Ali is Minister for Small Business, Minister for International Development, Minister for Multicultural Affairs. And we are a multi-ethnic nation, and we do certainly love that we're a multi-ethnic nation. We have a culture, it's the Australian culture, and so we don't we shouldn't have multiple cultures, because then you end up with cultures colliding. Joint statement on publicising events planned for the weekend. The Albanese government stands against the events planned for the weekend. So this is Tony Burke and Anne Ali speaking on behalf of the Albanese Labor government. All Australians, no matter their heritage, have the right to feel safe and welcome in our community. Okay, so that includes everybody else as well, Tony. So, everybody in the community should feel safe, and including those from sort of violent attacks, and Victorians are finding that out quite well as well. And there is no place for any type of hate in Australia. Yeah, I'll agree. Quote attributable, this is the quote attributable to Minister for Home Affairs, Tony Burke. There is no place in our country for people who seek to divide and undermine our social cohesion. Now, I've played some videos before and showed you stuff that happened during COVID, and I'm pretty sure there was some bureaucrats and politicians and media that undermined our social cohesion and sought to divide the country between us and them during COVID. So I'm just a little bit confused about that messaging there, Tony. We stand with modern Australia against these rallies. Nothing could be less Australian. Well, I believe your statement is absolutely un-Australian, Tony. And modern Australia is that we have an Australian flag that was voted upon in the early 1900s, and we also have a constitution, Tony. So that is modern Australia still exists in modern Australia, and these rallies are actually everyday Australians, mums and dads like some, like me, that have had enough and should be able able to use our voice and our feet to be able to challenge and critique the government narrative. So this is the quote attributable to Minister for Multicultural Affairs, Dr. Anne Ali. I've got to put that doctor in front. Multiculturalism is an integral and valued part of our national identity. Many others, multinational, absolutely. Having people from all walks of life, all nationalities, all come together in this Australian culture with a shared value and belief system. Yeah, I'll agree with that. That is a valued part of our national identity. We have a national identity. It's the Australian culture. So we do not need multiple cultures in Australia. Two cultures, multiple cultures collide. And we stand with all Australians, no matter where they were born, against these, yep, I agree, against those who seek to divide us and who seek to intimidate migrant communities. We will not be intimidated. No, I definitely don't want to be intimidating migrants communities. I've come from a migrant background. In the early 60s, my parents migrated here. I was born here. I've got children and grandchildren, and ultimately my wife's heritage goes all the way back to the early 1800s. But at the end of the day, I totally agree. And no one's seeking to intimidate communities, regardless of what narrative's been pointed out. And I think we just need to clarify that, it is excessive immigration, and it seems to be excessive immigration from certain parts of the world that isn't having a dig at the people that come from there. That we're standing up to the policies of the Australian government under Anthony Albanese, and the mishandling of this government. So this last little bit from Anne Ali is this brand of far-right activism grounded in racism and ethnocentrism has no place in modern Australia. Yeah, pretty strong words there. So look, I'm not far-right. Definitely not racist, and ethnocentrism. Look, at the end of the day, I push back on all of that, and everybody that I know that is in my circles, good and decent Australians, South Australians that I've been talking to, who are getting behind the rally here in South Australia, good, decent, hardworking people that feel the same as me, not racist, believe in the ethnic makeup of the community. Many of us worked, have friends that are from all creeds, races, ethnicities, but ultimately we have a culture here. It's called the Australian culture, and reject the idea that those of myself and many others that I've talked to here in South Australia are attending for the sort of purposes that you expressed there, and you with that statement are creating division, and this is all part of a bigger plan, which I'll go into at the end, towards the end of this, from an article from someone that I respect, Alison Beveridge, which I recommend everybody have a look at. So I believe it's all part of a much bigger plan. But anyway, let's continue reading. We have a response from the March for Australia organisers. So I'm going to read this here. So, and again, I'm not aligned. I'm not in contact with any of the March for Australia. I am in contact with one of the organisers here in Adelaide, who I have a lot of respect for. And from what I've heard, things are well planned and coordinated here in Adelaide, and that's why I'm confident about going, no matter, regardless of who's been scared away on how many people are taking up the narrative from the media and politicians. But in this response here from the March for Australia team, we stand against the Albanese government and its reckless policy of mass immigration, against their betrayal of ordinary Australians, and against their open contempt for the will of the people. This government has admitted it has failed to control the border. Net overseas migration has overshot the government's own targets by hundreds of thousands year after year. This government has failed to deport tens of thousands of fake asylum seekers. There are over 90,000 of them in the country, many with full work study rights. Tony Burke says nothing could be less Australian than these rallies, but what could be more Australian than ordinary citizens peacefully assembling to speak for their nation's future. So this is critical, people. So this is the message coming out of the March for Australia. Ordinary citizens peacefully assembling to speak for their nation's future, to claim that standing up for fair housing, affordable living, and the right of Australians to decide their own destiny is un-Australian, shows his contempt for those he is supposed to represent. Maybe Tony Burke, Minister for Immigration, is covering for his 6 property portfolio that directly benefits from mass immigration. Just going to get this out of the way for a second so you guys can see that. Australians are tired of being lectured by ministers who enrich themselves in property while telling young families to squeeze tighter, pay more, and stay silent. They are tired of being branded extremists simply for saying that the majority already believes immigration is too high. It is currently too high and it must be cut. We will not be intimidated by rhetoric from a government that is actively eroding our sovereignty and ignoring the will of the people. On August 31, Australians from all walks of life will march peacefully, proudly, and unapologetically to demand an end to mass immigration. No decrees from Canberra will silence us. We will not be intimidated. We will not be divided. We will march for Australia. So this is that was a statement there from the March for Australia team there. So I was just reading that out, as I said, and sort of that is from them, and no affiliation. It was posted on there on the social media, and I thought it might bring a little bit of context for that. But let's hear now from an account that I follow. It's called Visas to Australia. Apparently a migration agent, and let's just have a quick listen to this. This is quite interesting. So I just wanted to play that for you. So I'm just going to remove this from the screen and bring this up here for you.
Has allowed terrorists to come into Australia and commit terrorist acts on Australian soil. Australia's best and brightest at ASIO, our intelligence agency, has provided advice to Albanese that the 2 firebombing attacks on Australian Jewish properties, and maybe more, were direct terrorist attacks on Australian soil orchestrated by the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. How did this happen?
This is a letter from Penny Wong, Mark Dreyfus and Claire O'Neill, June 2024, explaining in weasel words why the Albanese government would refuse to work with the opposition to list the Revolutionary Guard as a terrorist organisation. And now where are we today?
My country, our country, is under threat because our Foreign Minister Penny Wong and the Labor government is complicit in failing to declare the Iranian Revolutionary Guard as a terrorist organisation before this even happened. Our own government has sold us out. Yes, some may be homegrown terrorists, but certainly there are those who come here on visas, including refugee and other visas. And the government's very weak response? Well, we evicted the Iranian diplomats from Australia, but is that really enough? From a migration law perspective, anyone who supports a terrorist organisation can have their Australian citizenship revoked if they're a dual citizen. Further, permanent residency can and should be cancelled and other visas cancelled, such as in the case of Mona Zahed, a Palestinian national who in support of Hamas. But the government only cancelled the visa after public outcry when this became a media spectacle. It begs the question, how many people supporting Hamas have been let in by the Australian government without the media knowing about it? Why is it up to the media to find out the links between people coming here to Australia on visas and Hamas? Isn't that the job of the Department of Home Affairs? Week after week, with the pro-Palestine protests, individuals amongst them are utilising this to further promote terrorist organisations and ideologies. I'm distinguishing those who are protesting, which you have a right to do here, versus those individually who are supporting terrorist organisations. At almost every single pro-Palestine protest, you see these flags. Palestine flags, Hezbollah and Hamas flags, Taliban flags, and also some ISIS flags too. I don't care which side of the fence you sit on regarding the Israel-Palestine conflict, Hamas is a declared terrorist organisation. I'm not taking sides on the Israel-Palestine conflict. Both sides have suffered incredibly. What I'm against, as a migration agent, as an Australian, is that terrorist organisation flags of Hamas are being flown in Australia. What I'm against is signs of the Iranian leader, the man whose Iranian Revolutionary Guard orchestrated the attacks on Australian soil. His sign is being held up at pro-Palestine rallies. I'm a registered migration agent whose job it is to bring people to Australia who benefit this country. I'm the son of 2 migrants who came to this country to make it home. I have worked in this immigration industry for 10 years now and have to ask these questions. How is our government so weak and woke that we allow terrorist flags to be flown freely at our protests while those holding up the Australian flag are arrested? How did our migration system let these people in the first place without undertaking much stronger checks? What steps is the government doing to strengthen Australia's national security interests against future threats, especially in terms of migration and visa grants? Right now, the answer is, and I can say this, our borders aren't secure enough. If you suspect terrorist attacks in Australia, call the National Security Hotline on 1-800-123-400. As our government is letting us down on the border front, it is up to you to keep Australia safe.
So there you go. That was a message there, and you can take that whichever way you want. And just going to move on a bit here, because I was going to talk into is talking about the flags, and it'll be interesting to see whether when other protest groups turn up on the 31st on Sunday, whether they'll be removed when the March for Australia is clearly about Australia, or people flying Australian flags. So whether or not police will be called to remove people that antagonise and fly other nations or other regimes' flags, that'd be interesting. But anyway, I just did a bit of a dig and look. At the end of the day, Tony Burke and Ali can call up and let me know if we've got this wrong with my search. But neither Tony Burke MP nor Anne Ali MP publicly condemned the presence of terrorist-linked flags or sympathisers at the pro-Palestine march on the Sydney Harbour Bridge in August 2025. Tony Burke, as Home Affairs Minister, described the protest as a good statement, well made and well heard, emphasising that the vast majority of participants were there for legitimate reasons related to the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. Sure, and absolutely terrible what's happening in Israel and Gaza, but let's focus back on our own homegrown soil and the safety here in our country. He acknowledged some ridiculous signs, such as images of Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, but argued these isolated elements from a small number of individuals should not detract from the overall peaceful and positive nature of the event. No records were found of him specifically addressing or condemning terrorist-linked flags, example black and white Islamic flags associated with jihadist groups or sympathisers. No public statements or responses from Anne Ali MP regarding the march or its controversial elements were identified in available sources. So that's where it is, and ultimately they can get in contact with me and tell me if they have made a media statement condemning those actions. And this is the thing, right? So on one hand, they're aware that there's extremist elements in there in the crowd, and on the other hand as well, we have indicated since this march started getting traction, many commentators have indicated that this is a peaceful march with Australian flags from every walks of life. Now, if there's some agitators in there, we can't be responsible for that, and they should be called out. And I believe many people will call them out publicly in media and that as well, and they should be acted upon. So that's exactly the same thing. So what the messaging should be is that if Australians have come out peacefully and march peacefully with their flags to make a statement, the statement should be we encourage that, and because that is the democratic right for people to do so. But you can see the hypocrisy between supporting one group of people protesting and obviously another group, and this has been massively politicized. So anyway, that is just where I'm at with it. But let's have a look at the statement here from Pauline Hanson, just in regards to migration, seeing we're on this topic. So I'm going to just read this out for you as well. So this is a statement from a media release from Pauline Hanson. Another 175,000 people left for the PM to expel, The expulsion of Iran's ambassador has renewed pressure on Prime Minister Albanese to expel 75,000 foreigners in breach of their visa conditions and 100,000 asylum seekers whose claims have been rejected. One Nation leader, Senator Pauline Hanson, said now that it was revealed that Prime Minister could expel rogue individuals who terrorise Australian citizens, he should exercise his powers to expel rogue foreign nationals who break the law or arrive in Australia illegally. It's supposed to be a privilege to come to Australia, to live here, not an entitlement, Senator Hanson said. We know there are about 75,000 foreign nationals currently in Australia despite being in breach of their visa conditions, and another 100,000 asylum seekers who arrived here illegally, whose claims have been rejected and who have been told to go home. If the Prime Minister can send a senior diplomat packing for committing crimes against Australia, he can do the same for these 175 foreign nationals in breach of the law. No foreign national must be allowed to remain in our country if they break the law, and anyone who attempts illegal entry must be sent packing immediately. We must not take any risks with the safety of the Australian community, the integrity of our borders, or the rule of law. Senator Hanson also called on the Labor government to enforce the official advice to Australians not to travel to Iran. We can't help ignorant people who ignore credible advice, and no assistance should be provided to people who do, she said. There should also be a complete halt to travel visas being issued to Iranians and no extensions provided to those already here. Radical Islam has no place in Australia. The hedonist Iranian regime is one of the biggest sponsors, suppliers, and financiers of radical Islamic terror in the world. We must do all we can to isolate the regime and limit contact with Iran. End media release from Pauline. So guys, I like to just double check and make sure that what Pauline Hanson's claiming there. So I did go out and do a little bit of checking and a little bit of research for my own, just to satisfy myself before coming to air and bringing this to you. So let's just have a look at some of the things that Pauline said that I've been able to find out and corroborate. So the statement from Pauline Hanson's Facebook post is broadly accurate based on available Australian government estimates and recent reporting, though the characterisation of all 100,000 asylum seekers are having arrived here illegally is not precise, as the vast majority, over 95% in recent years, arrived legally by air before lodging onshore protection claims. The figure of about 75,000 foreign nationals in Australia in breach of their visa conditions aligns with the Department of Home Affairs estimates of unlawful non-citizens, those without a valid visa, such as overstayers or others who have breached conditions leading to invalid status. As of mid-2024, this number was approximately 75,400 in the community, excluding those in detention. This estimate has remained consistent in official reporting into 2025 with minor fluctuations. A figure of about 100,000 asylum seekers whose claims have been rejected but who remain in Australia and have been told to depart also aligns with recent statistics on the onshore asylum backlog. As of early 2023, there were around 100,000 people in this category, including approximately 73,000 who had been refused protection visas but were still in the community pending judicial review, ministerial intervention, or removal processes. By 2025, reporting indicates this number has persisted or grown slightly, encompassing failed or refused asylum seekers at initial or review stages who are non-returnable due to factors like non-cooperation from origin countries, ongoing legal challenges, or protection obligations despite directives to leave. However, only a small subset, fewer than 5,000 as of late 2024, are on bridging visa E, especially for departure arrangements, while the broader group includes those in limbo on another bridging visas or unlawful status. And the bottom of that research was that there's only been about 20 per month who've been returned out of those total figures, there. So that is pretty accurate what Pauline's media statement was talking about there. Now, look, I'm going to take a little bit of tact here because we are talking about attending the rally on the 31st. Now, I wanted to cover a little bit of that issue in regards to migration and talk into that just at the beginning there, because there is valid concerns for people about that. But as I've clearly stated in my presentations to you, my motivation for going is much more than just the migration issue or the mass migration issue, because of the impacts to our infrastructure, our housing, so many other things. But as I've indicated before, there is a multitude of things, and I've listed them in my other presentations, which are state specific here to me in South Australia, but also national issues that I believe warrants me going out on Sunday to say, look, I'm marching against the policies of our government and the ineptitude of our government, not against people of racial persuasions in our nation. All right, it is about government and government policies. But in saying that, I understand that there's, and I acknowledge there's an influence to undermine what we're doing all across the board: media, politicians, bureaucrats, no matter who it is. And I talked about Alison Beveridge from Letters from Australia, and she's just put out another brilliant article, and it goes into detail. She's a great researcher, and I wanted to touch on that, on this with her, and I wanted to cover it. But I also wanted you to know that I understand her and I respect Alison, but I'm still choosing to go. But let's go through Alison's Substack here that she's got, and I'll go through that with you. But I'm going to show it to you first. So it's called Warning. So this is Alison Beveridge, Letters from Australia on Substack, and I highly, even though I'm going to go through a bit of a summary of what she's written here, but I really don't want to take that away from you actually going in here and looking at the well-researched information that Alison's got there, as well as all her other stuff. She is a brilliant researcher and spends a lot of time doing this stuff really well. But the title is Warning: March for Australia is a smear trap, or to demonise those against massive mass migration. Corporate globalists want mass migration. Labor wants mass migration. Ordinary Australians don't want their policy of importing millions of people into a housing shortage. Someone laid a trap for you. Corporate globalists and the federal government are pursuing a policy of mass migration into a housing shortage, creating an artificial crisis. Homeowners are being demonised and threatened with a bedroom tax and with capital gains tax on the family home. The people have had enough of this lunacy and want to voice their opposition. And this is the reason people are staying to march. But I've done a summary. It's a lengthy article and from Alison, and I don't want this summary to detract your ability to go in there and read this yourself, because I want you to see the research she's put together. But let's have a bit of a summary. I'll go through some of the summary that Alison's put together. So the title, article titled Warning: March for Australia is a smear trap to demonise those against excessive mass migration, expresses several key concerns about an upcoming rally opposing mass migration in Australia. The author argues that the event could be a setup to discredit participants and broader opposition to current policies. Here's a summary of the main concerns raised. The rally as a potential trap for participants. The event is portrayed as a honeypot organised anonymously to lure people into situations where they could be smeared as racists or extremists. The author warns of provocateurs, example masked individuals with Nazi symbols, inciting violence for media capture, leading to doxing, job losses or demonisation. They highlight the absence of identifiable marshals as a red flag, contrasting it with well-organised events like Tommy Robinson's London rally in September. Media bias and narrative building. Mainstream media, especially the ABC, is accused of framing rally participants as white nationalists or extremists through selective reporting and biased experts. For instance, the article criticises the use of sociologist Joshua Roos, a former Labor affiliate, to link anti-vaxxers with far-right groups, and references UK media tying opposition to migration with violent incidents like the Wiambilla cop killings to justify labelling dissent as domestic terrorism. government and corporate promotion of mass migration. The author criticises federal policies for importing millions amid a housing crisis, ignoring public opposition to excessive migration and multiculturalism. They argue this creates artificial shortages, example threats of bedroom taxes or capital gains on family homes, while sidelining calls for net zero migration until stability is achieved, benefiting corporate globalists at the expense of ordinary Australians. Misallocation of security resources. There's worry that the rally could redirect ASIO and police focus from real threats like jihadists to everyday people opposing migration. The author cites a New South Wales Council for Civil Liberties submission exaggerating right-wing extremism, noting only 4 of 31 prescribed terror groups in Australia are right-wing, and using cases like Wieambilla to conflate vaccine skepticism or policy dissent with terrorism, enabling suppression of political opponents. Absence of legitimate avenues for dissent. The piece laments the lack of safe, transparently organised platforms for voicing concerns about national identity, the flag, and history without smear risks. It suggests powerful interests are amplifying the rally's visibility to trap participants, similar to how COVID vaccine injury stories have been suppressed, and calls for a genuine alternative rally led by known figures. Overall, the concerns centre on manipulation by media, government, and hidden actors to silence debate on migration while escalating tensions. So that was just a summary. And as I say, I really encourage you to check out Alison Beveridge's Substack, Letters from Australia, and read the full, well-researched article there. And as I go on now, I'm just going to play a little clip because I do feel the same as the sentiments expressed in this clip by a podcaster that I follow, Two Worlds Collide. I'm going to play that for you and then just talk into that shortly. So let's bring that up for you and play that for you.
Are going to have to accept Hitler in their hearts, in their schools. What? They're going to have to accept Hitler. We're not going to disown Hitler. They're going to accept Hitler.
Righto. So apparently now we're supposed to accept Hitler into our hearts and our schools. Okay, let's describe who this bloke actually was. Hitler was a meth, cocaine, and morphine addict. He literally fed his army meth in a tablet. It was packed into their ration kits. It kept soldiers awake for days so they wouldn't stop fighting. Combined with the blitzkrieg, fast, relentless attacks, it helped his army roll over countries in a matter of weeks. He caused a world war that cost 60 million lives. And this is the guy these morons want us to glorify. That's not strength, that's delusion. Now, let me be clear. Have I spoken out against mass immigration? Of course I have, because it's being used to band-aid a broken government. Have I said immigrants who commit crimes like machete attacks should be deported immediately? Yes, of course. Have I said we need to be careful about where our government allows immigration from? Of course I have. And have I called out clerics who said Islam will enter every house in Australia? Yes, and I'll keep standing against that. But will I also stand against the bloke saying Australians will accept Hitler into their hearts? Every single day of the week I will. Because you can want immigration to be paused, you can want stronger borders, and you can believe in protecting our way of life and still be normal. But the second you start praising Hitler, that's not normal. That's extremism. And here's the irony of it all. That flag they're standing in front of, well, that's the same flag carried by Australians in World War II against Hitler. The same bloke they're praising. That courage from those diggers in World War II, well, that came at a cost. More than 27,000 Australians died in World War II fighting Hitler. That's what this flag represents. Sacrifice. And here's the thing, I've stood shoulder to shoulder with men who sacrificed everything for this country and that flag. Men who gave their lives and had that flag draped over their coffins. And trust me when I say this, these clowns standing in front of that flag don't carry its weight. They cheapen it. They don't honour it. They insult it. Because that flag isn't just cloth. It's blood, sacrifice and mateship stitched into every fibre. So if you follow this ideology, you're a clown. Unfollow me. Send me your abusive, cowardly messages that I'll never see. Post your comments that I won't read. Because because extremism is extremism, and it has no place in Australia, no matter what form it takes. What's your thoughts?
My thoughts are the same, is the answer to that. And I feel the same, and that's why I pushed back early on the comments about a white Australia only. I pushed back on the assertion that, you know, Australia, you're only Australian if you have British Celtic heritage, which is fair enough. I mean, ultimately, sure, you can claim that that it was people from the UK and all that, but since even the early days, as I pointed out, the Citizenship Act and naturalisation gave every person that became naturalised every single and the same right as anybody else, as any British Celtic individual, and this idea about white Australia. So, look, I agree. We need to push back on that. And this is the thing about the rally. This is the thing about, and why even though Alison has presented all that evidence about what's going to happen on Sunday, my message to fellow South Australians, I can't speak for other states, is that, and when I did my little bit of a unpacking of Senator Lambie's 5-minute rant, I showed a bit of a slide about free speech absolutism. So the ability for me to be able to podcast, for the ability for Two Worlds Collide to say his thing, the ability for the migration agent to do his thing, is the other voice. So at the end of the day, if we allow the voice of the NSN or anybody else that's radical, if we allow them, their voice to be bigger, and allow the government to use that as a way to shut all dissent down, we've let them win. I'm hoping, and who knows what Sunday's going to bring, I'm hoping that there is, not just in Adelaide, I'm praying for this for the whole nation, but I can't speak for how well things are organised in other states. I really don't know. And I've taken the punt on pushing to go on Sunday because I know of who's involved, and been speaking to him about the coordination and all that. I know he's put a lot of effort in. So my message is that if the voices of people like myself and many others, I've spoken to plenty of people here in South Australia that are good and decent people that are turning up, not because they want a white Australia, not because they want to glorify Hitler, not because they believe in anything, or not because they believe a certain ethnic group is allowed more into this country. It's the failed policies of government. All these people that I speak to that are looking to turn up on Sunday are going for the reasons that they're pushing back on the government narrative and overreach and ineptitude and unaccountability. So if our voices are louder than the voices of people like Mr. Sewell and others, if we go peacefully en masse and we are and allow nothing to happen, with the voices of those people will be drowned out. Be the change. You can do that, but you have to make that determination. Have I got it wrong? Who knows? I'm going to take that punt on Sunday, and I'm going to take the punt that there's a possibility only 1,000 people turn up, but there's a possibility that 15,000 turn up. Who knows? But I'm not going to be intimidated by government or bureaucrats or the mainstream media or people that want us to have Hitler taught in the classroom or want a white-only Australia policy. I'm not going to be silenced, and I'm not going to be I don't want to be silenced by people like Jackie Lambie, who want to put in further regulation to inhibit my free speech and allows social media platforms to censor me more than what I'm already been censored and suppress my posts more. So that's why, and I respect Alison's dedicated research on this. And, you know, for many people, they'd say everything internally would make them go, yeah, if it's a honey trap, I'm not going. But if we continue to allow voices from the NSN and others to dictate how the media is going to talk about the things that we're upset about, then what's the point? And it might be a flop on Sunday, but there'll be more. And I'm pretty sure, and I'm pretty sure there's going to be much more. And so what I wanted to do now quickly is just play you a little message. It's about 3 minutes from one of the organisers here in Adelaide that's put a hell of a lot of work together to try and make this a successful event. So I'm hoping this will play. I had some sort of data issues before, but hopefully it'll play okay. But hear from Mark Aldridge directly.
Hi everybody, I'm down at Rundle Park. This is where the rally will be the meeting point for the rally. I'll show you around. Hi everybody, I'm down at Rundle Park. This is where the rally will be the meeting point for the rally. I'll show you around in a moment. We've just had a meeting with the police command. Everything's looking good. There's going to be no issues on the day. We have good security on the day as well as the police. It's just a peaceful march to demand the government address mass immigration while we don't have the resources available for those people and citizens that are already in Australia. That's the messaging. The messaging is anti-government. Everything to do with what's happening in our country at the moment is the result of the government. They're making bad decisions. They don't have enough housing. The migration levels are far too high for the resources we have. We don't have enough homes. We don't have enough infrastructure. We don't have enough public transport. We don't have enough jobs. We don't have enough hospital beds, so on, so on. And that's what it's about. The police were fabulous today. It was a fairly big meeting. There was a lot of police officers there. They're happy with our messaging. They said that we're doing a really good job, and I think that's going to be pertinent on the day. Let's just show you around where we'll be. Look at, yes, there we go. So this is Rundle Park. That there's the stage that we're using that as a platform. There will be no major speakers here. We'll just give you all the rules and regulations of the day, which is just to be polite, ignore morons, and have a good time, and send us a clear message. There's plenty of room here for up to 20,000 people, so I've been told. So this is where we'll be. There's car parking up here. You can take buses in, trains in, trams in, whatever you want to do. They come down to this area as well. It's just up from the old RAH. So it's a corner of East Terrace and North Terrace. And the main parking is on the extension of Rundle Street. So there you go. It's going to be a really, really good day. The weather is going to be good. Doesn't matter. I don't care what the forecasts say. It'll be a fabulous day. Bring your Aussie flags, dressed in the green and gold. Let's show the Australian government that we are not happy. Let's do that in a peaceful and fun manner. We'll have some great music playing. We'll have some great speakers to educate you on some of the issues and facts and figures relating to the damage mass migration does when it's not fettered with available resources. So really good. I think South Australia will lead by having the best rally with the most people and without any issues at all. We'll march directly down North Terrace. When we get to the, because the footy's on, which is a bother, I didn't know that. So when we get to North Terrace, we'll turn right and we'll be on the wrong side of the road. We'll march down, then cross the road into Elder Park, where we have music again, Australiana music, some really good stuff, to be honest, a bit of entertainment for you all. And at that level, we'll have 4 speakers only, giving you 2 to 3 minutes each on what's been going on and how we can counter it. And then we'll look at and talk to you about the future of protesting for these types of topics here and some of the various topics that we could cover into the future, because it's time for Australians to stand up under our beautiful flag and have a say and send a very strong message to the government And if they don't listen, we'll be back here again to do it all over again. There you go. Thank you, guys. Hi, everybody.
So there you go. That was a message from one of the organisers, Mark Aldridge, and very clear messaging there. So look, it's totally up to you. I can understand the trepidation from many people about all the messaging and everything that's going on, but the only way that we can shut down the noise from the people that the media is using is by drowning out their noise with more noise, and that's kind of my take on it. So look, that's a bit of a wrap of where we're at. My little thing. I probably won't do anything more between now and Sunday on the topic, and try and get a bit of downtime. I've spent a bit of time putting content together in between, paid work and everything. So it's been quite long days. So I'll probably take a little bit of time out tomorrow, hopefully. But anyway, I wanted to close. The topics we've been talking about have been quite heavy, and obviously my channel is called Faith, Culture, Politics in Australia, and the faith part being, those that do know, is obviously I'm of the Christian faith, and that's part of it. That's why it's faith, culture, politics from my perspective. And we've talked into some heavy topics, but I wanted to kind of finish off this one with a bit more of a wholehearted, wholesome topic, and just wanted to share this a little bit with you. So I'm just going to share another screen, and I've been following Kurt Malberg, who's a great South Australian here, and he's part of the Canberra Declaration, and come across this today on the feed, and a bit of a promotion as well, and wanted to talk into that quickly. So this is Felicity and Nick Taylor in prayer, walking for Australia. So they're walking around Australia and for prayer. And I wanted to attach to this, I want to play the video for it. So those, I guess, that aren't inclined, or, I guess for those of you that are Christian, that are interested, they want to hang around, I'm going to, probably wind up in another 10 or 15 minutes, but wanted to play a little clip first before I go into this a little bit further and hear straight from them. So I'm just going to play this quickly. It goes for about 10 minutes.
Well, I had this dream just drop into my heart about 4 years ago, and I was talking to a friend, and I just was feeling something in my spirit. It's hard to explain. And I was like, I just want to get out there and walk across Australia and pray for Australia. And as I said it, like I'd actually sort of surprised myself as I said it to her. And so I thought about it and prayed about it for a few years, even before I said anything to Nick, because I was worried that he would think it was too crazy. We're walking across Australia to pray for the people of Australia. And we're praying for Australia because we're passionate. We want to see people come back to God. We want to see our country come back to God. And at the beginning, before I started this, I was actually praying, and I said to God, like, why is this important to you, God? And I just heard him say, because the people of Australia matter to me. And so that's really our heart for it, because the people of Australia matter. We want to see Australia saved, and we want to see Australia free. I really felt like God was saying, do this with a donkey. And so that's why we have the donkey. She can be slow, which is very challenging. At the beginning, she actually wouldn't walk sometimes. And there was one day where I was stuck on the road in the heat. I think it was like 40 degrees, and she just wouldn't move. And I nearly released her back into the wild then. I feel like this is going to sound crazy, but there's been times when I've been walking and I just see her like out the corner of my eye when I turn around or something. And I feel like there's been times where she is representing the church, and I feel like a very overwhelming love that is not my own. And it's not necessarily for the donkey, but it's like it's feeling God's love for the church. And how frustrating we must be sometimes to God. Like, I've even said that to him sometimes when I'm trying to pull her along. I'm like, God, like, surely the church is not like this frustrating to you, but we probably are. Yes, so get up in the morning. I'm still a mum because our kids are with us. So, you know, we do the making breakfast and I make everyone's food for the day and pack it away and make sure the kids are doing what they need to do in the morning. And then I saddle up the donkey, make sure my saddle bags and everything are packed with what we need. And then we head out and we walk about between 20 and 25 kilometers each day. And each day it just flows differently, I guess, depending on, I will generally set out and start walking, and sometimes I'll play worship and I'll just worship for a little bit. Sometimes I will get like a song in my spirit that I feel like I need to declare over that particular area that I'm walking in, so I'll do that. Oftentimes, actually every day, I just say, God, like, what do you want me to pray today? What do you want to do in this land here today? And then pray from whatever I hear him say. So there's not really like any, I guess, formula that I follow. It's really just following what Jesus wants to do each day. I mean, being on my feet all day, from like the moment I get up to the moment I go to bed at night is just a lot. Like, especially the first couple of months, I would just be aching. Sometimes I would be standing up at night in the kitchen cooking or something, and I'd just be crying because I was so exhausted and in so much pain, but I couldn't sit down. And it felt overwhelming. So it was a bit exhausting and overwhelming. And I still have days like that, but I definitely feel like my body has gotten used to that. It's not complicated, especially at the beginning. I was like, I'm not like a fancy prayer or anything. I'm a very simple person, and my prayers are very simple, I feel. And just learning that that's actually enough. Like, God is happy with you praying from your heart, and it doesn't have to be super fancy. And I have always underestimated, I guess, the power of my prayer, because I'm like, I'm not like a somebody. So I've doubted, I guess, the weightiness of my prayers, but it's not about that. It's about who you're actually praying to. It's about the God that you pray to. It's not about you. God hears you. The Bible is true about what it says about prayers. You know, that our prayers of righteous people, they're powerful, they're effective. And even in Revelation, it says that the prayers of the saints are like, they're in like golden bowls of incense. And that's actually a powerful picture of prayer and how treasured it is to God.
Yeah, so we're moving along the support team. I'm not personally doing much cooking really. Between Felicity and the kids, mostly the kids, they don't really trust me. But definitely the washing, the campfire, the setting up, packing up, getting all that organised, doing a bit of it, getting the kids to doing it, and just keeping everything flowing and working well so that it's ready and good for her. So when she gets home, she doesn't have a list of things to do. I think it's kind of funny because everyone really loves the idea of camping and, you know, being able to get away and being together as a family. But when you are wedged into a caravan for 4 to 5 months at a time and not having the room to spread out and have a bit of your own personal space, that can get a bit challenging. having communion as a family. It's certainly, I mean, we used to do it a bit, but we do it a lot more now, and it's just really nice family time, really nice to spend time with God like that. It's amazing to do it out here with the outback, in the outback of Australia. Like, you just wouldn't think you'd be doing this across Australia. As we come across Australia, across the outback of Australia, we're praying for the harvest of souls and praying for people to turn to Jesus. And I just think that's so important. Like, it's what we were created for. It's what we were designed for. And if we're going to use our body and use all our skills for what we're designed for, it's going to be the most optimal, and we're going to live the best possible way that we can. If I could say something to everyone in Australia, I would say whatever your gifts and talents are, God has created you and God has put that in you. And God has done that so that you can use that to worship Him and to love Him. And that's what we were designed for. And we're actually going to find the most joy and the most completeness in doing what it is that we were designed for.
There you go. So I hope for those that that stayed around, that you enjoyed that. I guess for my Christian brothers and sisters, made to feel a little bit more wholesome rather than the topics that we have been talking about. But if you do want to find out more about that and how you can get involved, the website you can go to is on part of the Canberra Declaration. I'll put when I upload generally to my Substack, I'll have all the links there. So this is the site. It's on the Canberra Declaration, and the idea is for people to get involved. So if you want to sign up to join the Taylors in prayer walking for Australia, the mission statement of the Canberra Declaration is to awaken, encourage, educate, equip, and unify people to pray and make a stand for Christian values for the greater good of all Australians. A primary way we will see Australian Christians' values revitalised is by seeing many come to the faith in Jesus Christ. Our nation needs spiritual transformation. As a result, the Canberra Declaration has supported the Taylors' prayer walk across Australia for the salvation of Aussies from the beginning of their journey. Now we're calling Australian Christians to set aside 1 hour on a Saturday morning and join with believers across the nation in prayer walking your own neighbourhood. The Taylor family began their prayer journey on 20th of April and expect to finish around September. Prayer walk your neighbourhood to intercede for salvation of our neighbourhood and nation, joining other believers in an Australian-wide prayer movement. So it's every Saturday morning until the Taylors complete their journey around September, which is anticipated. And the time is from 10 to 11 Australian Eastern Standard Time, 9:30 to 10:30 South Australia and Northern Territory, 8 to 9 a.m. in Western Australia. And to get the Zoom link, you sign up to the mailing list below to receive the Zoom link. So, and that is on the canberradeclaration.org prayer campaign, Felicity and Nick Taylor prayer walk. So I hope that was a little bit of a lighter topic to finish up on. There's a lot of heavy stuff that we're talking about. There's a lot of division in our nation. There's a lot of healing to be done. And as a Christian, I'm obviously promoting, the Christian faith and the ability for prayer and coming together and getting to know Jesus and coming to Jesus. So I do pray very much for healing in our country, but we also got to make sure that we aren't silenced or intimidated by things that are occurring around us, and continue to speak openly and courageously into things that we see aren't right in our nation. And that's what I intend to continue to do to the best of my ability. So I appreciate that anybody that's may have hung around for that last sort of 10 or so minutes, and just going to finish up again as I usually do. And today's little blues, Christian blues, is from Psalms 28. Hear my cry, O Lord. So anyway, wishing you all the best, and God bless Australia. Yeshu Malka.
Hear my cry, oh Lord, my rock, don't turn away. If you stay silent, I'll fade to the grave. I lift my hands toward your holy place, longing for mercy, for the light of your face. Don't drag me down with the hearts of stone, those who speak peace, but their seeds are sown with trouble and lies. Lord, repay them right, for you are my strength, my saving light. Blessed be the Lord, He has heard my plea. He is my shield, my sure victory. The hearts of His people He lives, He defends. Our shepherd forever to the very end. Save your flock, Lord, carry us through. Lead us forever, faithful and true. In every storm, in the darkest night, hold us close in your guiding light. Don't drag me down with the hearts of stone, those who speak peace, but their seeds are sown with trouble and lies. Lord, repay them right, for you are my strength, my saving light. You are my rock, forever my song. You are my